First up in Bachelor Nation news, the $1.4 million man. We're talking about Jeremy Hartwell, one half of the UCAN Foundation.
Oh,
He just settled
latest.
with Netflix for $1.4 million. He filed a class action lawsuit against Netflix and the production entities behind Love is Blind back in 2022 over labor violations, including unpaid wages. And Netflix has agreed to settle for just under $1.4 million to be divided between attorneys and approximately 144 former cast and crew members.
Hartwell's suit accused Kinetic of creating an unsafe and inhumane working conditions for the cast, including by maintaining excessive control over virtually every aspect of the lives of their show's cast and exerting complete domination over their time, schedule, and their ability to eat, drink, and sleep and communicate with the outside world.
Hartwell also claimed that Kinetic Content, the production company that created Love is Blind, misclassified its employees as independent contractors and denied paying them, quote, a proper minimum wage and overtime pay, or providing them a mealtime. Cast and crew were required to work 20 hours a day and 7 days a week for $1,000 a week, effectively giving them a minimum wage of $7.14 per hour.
The proposed settlement of $1,395,000 includes $488.25K for the plaintiff's attorneys, just over a third of the total award. Both figures need to be approved by a Superior Court judge. A hearing on both the settlement and the class is scheduled for July.
Hartwell is not the only former cast member to have sued Love is Blind. Season 5's Tran Dang, who was edited out of the show completely, sued another cast member for sexual assault, naming the production company as a co-defendant. Kinetic tried to force that dispute into arbitration, but that attempt was rebuffed. But last week, a Texas appellate court ruled that the production company was not liable for the sexual assault claims because the incident took place in Mexico. However, the company is still on the hook for other claims, including false imprisonment and negligence.
Another player from the same season, Renee Pochet, has sought legal action against Kinetic after claiming she fell in love with another cast member who turned out to be homeless and a violent drug addict. She said the producers pressured her into continuing the romance all the way out to the wedding altar, where she abruptly changed her mind and said, "I don't." In March, a judge ruled that Pochet was bound by her contract to work out her dispute in arbitration.
So, what does this mean? Pace case, $1.4 million
I
settlement.
was gonna ask you.
Okay.
Arbitration.
Yeah.
Just this term. This means that you're discussing it, but it's all off the record and you're trying to settle it?
Basically, if you go to
Okay.
a settlement, now the settlement can include a variety of things. You can get, generally speaking, what's called a stipulated judgment, where part of the settlement is the defendant will enter in some kind of agreement that gets a judge to rule on the case, to say you were guilty or to admit some kind of wrongdoing. However, that doesn't necessarily set legal precedent. So this settlement that Hartwell got from Netflix doesn't necessarily mean it's going to change the way they write contracts or do anything. I would guess that it will change what they classify the actors as, or the players in the games. I don't think they'll claim them for tax purposes as employees anymore. They will be moved to independent contractors on their tax forms so that they don't have to deal with this anymore. But nothing here, at least from my estimation of it, means that they're going to change the way they make these shows in any way other than that small classification, because that's primarily what the settlement was for, that it was the money they were being paid wasn't commensurate with the idea that they were actually full-time employees, which is what Netflix filed them under in their taxes. So I don't know. I don't think this means anything ultimately other than a good payday for Hartwell and the other. I mean, but whatever. It's split amongst 144 people and a third of it's going to legal fees. It's not like this is going to change anyone's life, but it makes a good headline.
It's not going to change anyone's life, but it is a win against them, which, hasn't happened. And I would argue that just because it didn't require them to change any practices doesn't mean that they won't change them because of this. I think they might want to avoid these things in the future. And if all that it requires is building in like food breaks and bathroom breaks and like whatever, having a check-in time with your outside people or more mental health, I think the demands are pretty reasonable. And I
Of
think,
course.
I don't know, maybe I'm just opto 2024. I'm hoping this will change things.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens in the next season of Love is Blind, or if any lawsuits come out of season 6, any more lawsuits come out of season 6, I should say. But let's move on.
Mm-hmm.
Our next
Yeah,
item.
the Renee Poche one is extremely disturbing.
I agree.